can't mess this life up. All you have to do is follow your excitements, find joy in the simple joys of life, and follow the data and the breadcrumbs every day.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Birth Lounge podcast. Okay, I've been in my woo-woo era, and I'm bringing you along with that because so many of you have reached out to say either you're also in the same era or you want to learn more about this spiritual side of living and being and existing. I'm super stoked for today because not only does it mesh my love of astrology and manifestation, but at the end of today's episode, my guest is actually going to give you an individual reading depending on your astrological sign and what that means for you heading into your birth and motherhood experience. Now, if you have been following me on Instagram, then you are probably used to me posting my manifestation practices. And if you're not following me on Instagram, what the heck are you doing, girlfriend? Head over to IG right now and find me at Tranquility by HeHe and join in on the fun. I hang out there literally every single day. I share about my life and I share about the things that I love. Plus, obviously, I share even more and deeper birth knowledge with you. And currently, I'm sharing about my own pregnancy. But in my manifestation practice, you will see me do various rituals, and I talk about the things in my daily life that help me manifest the things that I want. And if that's your kind of thing, then today's episode is not only for you, but it is going to crack you wide open and get you thinking on a deeper level so that you can start to harness this same exact power in your life to start to curate the life that you desire. I'm so stoked to be joined by my friend Helena Woods, who is a world-traveling astrocartographer. Do you know what that is? Yeah, well, she takes your birth chart and your astrological signs and puts them together to help you understand what your life map says about you, what you should be doing, where your successes are coming from, what kind of career should you have, what about romantic relationships, where in the world should you be living, what kind of turmoil and challenges might you face in life. Helena is also a YouTuber. She has content online. She has courses, and she's the author of the book Slow Living. As an astrologer, she uniquely specializes in location, helping people create magical lives in places that they thrive. And what I love most about her is she genuinely creates from her heart. She has this goal to inspire others to create this magical life in a place that they love, and you can feel that in every single thing that she does. I had the privilege of having a private reading, and she shared with me so many good nuggets of wisdom when it comes to location in the U.S. of where I thrive, how Boston, which is where I currently live, impacts me and my success and my business and my entrepreneurial spirit, plus any future successes that are coming my way. And we also talked about past struggles and how that has set me up for opportunities to come. In today's episode, we're going to be going deep into your birth chart and your astrological signs and your lines, astrological relocation, She's actually going to channel baby Saggy for me, and we're going to talk about what it may look like for our family dynamics if this baby is a Sagittarius or if they are a Scorpio. We're also going to talk about our current times in the US. What type of challenges does the year 2025 bring to our country? And why do we all feel like we're on the brink of war? Helena is also going to dive into finding your right partner and how to choose your best friend in the best way based on your astrological signs. And my favorite part, we're talking about the 2025 babies. What do these babies bring to our world? Why are they so special? And what can we expect from them as far as changing the way that we view the world, the way that we interact with the world, and the way that the world is going to transpire after they're born? This is such a fun episode. If you don't know your astrological sign, pause right now. Go look it up according to your birthday and then come back and hit that play button. All right, without further ado, Helena, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me on. What an honor to be here.
Oh my God, you have no idea how excited I am to have you on the show. Seriously, I know I just geeked out before we hopped on recording, but this is truly an honor for me. I followed you forever on Instagram. You have changed my life. You have taught me so much. You have made me think like truly in different planes. And I know for people who aren't quite where I am yet in this like woo-woo world in astrology and like thinking in different planes, they're probably like, "HeHe, what the hell are you talking about?" So I actually think that's probably a good place for us to start. Is can you just share with us, for people who might not be familiar with astrocartography or different planes of our existence, what are the basics that we kind of need to know going into this conversation?
Yeah, astrology and astrocartography. This is a map of your life. Astrology shows you your life cycles and the natal promise of who you are and what you came into this world to do, to be, to have. And your astrocartography map, which is a map of the world, showing you your unique stories and what are happening for you in different parts of the globe. So, astrocartography is essentially the astrology of location, and it shows the energies of places for you that are very unique to you, but also the stories that are happening in different parts of the world. And so, if you've ever felt drawn somewhere, or if you've ever noticed you go to a certain town or a certain city and you frequently have a similar storyline come up, or you feel a similar way every time you keep going back, or there was an important part of the world where you noticed your friends or your closest kindred spirits or those special people in your life, they frequently come from that one part of the world. If you've ever noticed that, just reflected on like, huh, isn't that interesting? Isn't that curious that that city keeps coming up, or I'm always drawn to that part of the world? That's locational astrology. And when you were born, you had the planets at certain parts of the world that were showing this. And so it's like a natal promise of your life. And if you don't feel drawn there at that time, at some point in life, that natal promise will unlock and be revealed to you through whether it's your travels or you go on a trip and something happens that's really awakening for you, or maybe you get an opportunity that happens in a certain location. It's all shown in both your astrocartography map and your chart.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I have so many questions. Before we dive into all the location stuff, talk to us about the different lines. And I learned about this from your Instagram. So you frequently put up what you call lines of people's charts, and you will show how it goes through certain parts of the country or the world or specific cities and what this may mean for that person. So when someone is looking at their chart, what do these lines represent?
Yeah, those lines you're seeing on your map are representative of planets. And so when you go right to a line, I call it a power line or a power place, because when you go to that planet, it's kind of like the energy of what that planet represents is like enhanced to like 100%. You're getting a full dose of what it represents and what it means. And so to kind of go through the planets really briefly, the sun represents your creativity, your willpower, motivation, and your beingness, like what you're here to shine, to become, and also that sense of aliveness. It's very extroverted and it's very much focused on your goals. I always think of the sun line. I've recently renamed it the self-improvement line because I've noticed just in my own travels, and I travel the world full time exploring all these lines, and I've just noticed the idea of like self-improvement and focusing on self and creativity always comes up on sun lines. The moon is kind of the opposite. It's more mysterious. It's more, internal, intuitive, thinking about your emotional needs, your emotional desires. It's a place of home, of family, of comfort, security, and stability. Your moon is more mysterious, but it's a quieter, softer energy. It's all about connecting you with your heart. And a lot of people love to live on moon lines and have families on moon lines, become mothers on moon lines. There's a lot of that. And those are the blue lines you see on your map, the dark blue ones. And then we've got Mercury, and Mercury is quick, fast, busy. It's the energy of speech and communication and ideas, socializing, recording content or social media or connecting with people, writing. There's a lot of busy, fast energy when we're on those light green lines or those Mercury lines. And then we have Venus, and Venus is one of the benefics in astrology. And benefics basically means a good planet. It's a planet that helps you, supports you, brings good things into your life. And Venus is all about pleasure and joy and beauty and art and connecting with the simple joys of life, slowing down your life to really connect with pleasure and beauty in all forms. I currently live on very close to one of my Venus lines, and it's specifically my Venus home line. So when I moved to France 7 years ago, it was just this overwhelming feeling of like, I found my home in the world. I feel like I can really slow down and breathe and like enjoy life. And that was where my whole journey of slow living began, was on my Venus line. We also have Mars, and Mars is kind of the opposite. It's fast, but it's fiery. It's ambition, it's drive. It's got this warrior-like energy of like becoming the hero of your life, becoming and channeling your inner warrior. It's great if you're like a CEO or you're an ambitious like business owner or an entrepreneur, or maybe you work with like technical things, technical pursuits. But Mars lines it's one of the malefics in astrology, and malefics is one of the more challenging lines. So those are Mars lines, very fast. And then we have Saturn, which is the other malefic. And Saturn represents work, duty, responsibility, and obligations. They feel slow. They can feel a little heavy and like you have a lot of pressure on you, or you're building something that requires a lot of maturity and discipline. So that's the line that I actually live closest to right now as I'm living in Paris. I've lived all over France the last 7 years, lived on my Venus line, and now I'm closer to my Saturn line. But Saturn is all about like building your life's work and getting really serious about your mission. And that's literally what happened to me when I moved to this line. And then the last few ones we have are Jupiter, the second benefic, the second really good planet, which represents expansion, opportunity, abundance, and like going big. I call this the delusional planet because there's this energy of like, go big, go home, sky's the limit, world can never get me down, world's my oyster, that kind of like infectious enthusiasm and self-confidence is Jupiter. And I actually was born very close to my Jupiter line. And it's just every time I go back home to my hometown, it's just like I feel like I'm on top of the world, like I can do anything. Like when things go wrong and there's problems, it's like bounce back rate is so quick on Jupiter lines. You can get through any problem. It's really great. And then Uranus is a light blue line you'll see on your map. And that's all about um, unexpected things. It's chaotic. It's all over the place. It's technical and original and innovative. So it has that kind of genius, brilliance, and innovation energy. But it's definitely up and down. It's unexpected. It's often represents things that you don't see coming, or there's just a lot of change in your life. Everyone I know who lives on Uranus lines, they either go through a lot of changes or they have home changes a lot, or there's just this feeling of not being able to fully stay put. There is an exception for certain people that do certain careers or have certain professions, but usually the time Uranus is kind of all over the place. And then we have Neptune, which is spirituality and spiritual connection and also romanticizing life. It is a little bit confusing and hazy and a little bit unfocused, can be a bit elusive in energy. So it's not always my favorite, but it's great if you're an artist or a creative, a filmmaker, or a photographer. It's really great if you're an artist. And then we have Pluto lines, which are transformational, realizing your power, stepping into your power, disrupting industries, transforming industries, like being kind of like an influential, powerful person in your life and letting go and rebuilding. And fun fact, I work with a lot of Hollywood actors, directors, people in the film and television industry. You'd be surprised how many Hollywood actors and actresses live on their Pluto lines because it's one of the most powerful, can be one of the most successful lines of magnetism, but also thinking about wealth, thinking about like disrupting an industry or challenging an industry or being a part of a bigger industry that's so big with Pluto lines, I've noticed.
Okay, I love that so much, and I have always been so drawn to Pluto. It's the smallest planet. People often dismiss it, and a few years ago, or I guess a long time ago now, people tried to make it not a planet. I was like, Pluto's totally a planet. You leave Pluto alone. I love Pluto. There's something. I'm just like a very petite person, human, and there's just something about it being the smallest, last in line, like little sister planet, but I don't know why I've always felt so drawn to Pluto. It's so crazy to hear you say that it is like this industry disruptor and powerful and being an influence because that is kind of how I view my role right now as kind of what I do in my career is my whole goal is to disrupt the healthcare system in the US to help people have better births, not disrupt it in a bad way, but disrupt it to say, hey, women, hey, ladies, hey, moms, hey, families, parents, you have more control than you think you do. You are the decision makers. You don't have to be abused by the system. Let me help you find your voice. And I love it so much.
Yes. Oh my gosh. And people in politics, people like challenging the status quo also live on Pluto lines. I've noticed a ton of them. So fascinating. What's your rising sign? I'm so curious.
I don't know. I don't know any of this stuff. I know I need to have a reading with you. I'm wondering
Yeah.
so much. So I'm wondering if I live on my Pluto line now. I live in Boston. I'm wondering what line goes through Arizona for me because when I go to Arizona, I swear things just happen in my life. I manifest the craziest things. Opportunities come to me out of the blue, things I could not have even dreamed up. I meet people that would in a million years have never been part of my life. And it always happens when I am in Arizona. And just funny to kind of hear you talk about like people being from certain regions or parts of the world. I married an Italian and it is like no matter where we go, we meet someone else that is of Italian origin. And I look Italian, so now that I've married an Italian, a lot of people assume that we are Italian, and I am not. But it is just so funny to see how, like, the Italian culture or region, part of that world, has found itself in my life. It's really wild.
Oh yeah, you probably have a line in Italy going through because and often I see for people, their partners, they'll
Mm.
they'll have a line that represents the partner going through the place where the partner was born. Oh my gosh, we got to do a reading. Just email me and we'll get you on the calendar as soon as possible.
Yeah, we're gonna have to. I would just love to see how all my lines kind of play out. I wonder if I live on that Pluto line now because being in Boston, it was a hard transition for me to be completely honest. I moved from the South, so I moved from Alabama, but I grew up in Mississippi. I did grad school in Alabama, and so my direct move was from the state of Alabama, but I was only there for 2 years, having been in Mississippi for 22 before that. And so it was a very tough transition for me. But now that I'm here and I'm established, I feel really supported and I feel grounded. But when I travel, it is the most powerful that I am, much like Arizona, but I just manifest so heavily on vacation. So we used to joke that when things weren't working out in my life, there was this joke in our house between me and my husband, like, well, we should just go on vacation and it'll sort itself out because I swear we go on vacation and I get emails from, again, people that I've never even talked to this person in my life and they want me to do this thing, or opportunities fall into my lap, or, there's just so many things that manifest for me on vacation. And I've never understood why, but I always know when I leave for vacation, like really cool, big things are coming my way in the next few days because I'm going to be traveling.
Absolutely. And you're crossing so many lines.
Mm.
And when you cross over the line, I manifest on the plane. Like
Me
I
too.
track things. Like I have this crazy story of like I've been trying to manifest this one thing for like a year now, and it never has happened. And then I noticed, oh my gosh, I'm going to be flying over my Jupiter line. I'm going to write in my journal. So I got my journal out and I started writing letters to myself. I don't know if you've heard of like different manifestation techniques, like the love letter method, or like all these different methods to like manifest and speed things up. So I'll be like on the plane journaling, like, I want this. I'll write a list of all the things I want to come in. And literally, I land and there's an email in the inbox from that person, or there's a DM on Instagram from that person. Or that happened recently. And I was like, are you kidding me? Or recently I was in Australia. I went to the Sun MC line, which for any of you listening, it's the publicity line essentially. It's the line of being seen, being recognized, getting publicity. And I landed less than 24 hours. I had two pieces, Business Insider and The Times, just reach out in my email, be like, we want to feature you for a piece on astrocartography. It's like, this stuff never happens to me when I'm at home. This only happens when I'm traveling to certain lines, always on my Jupiter lines, and then the MC lines, but especially that recent one, the Sun MC line. So, oh yeah, you can speed things up, and it's the balance of like setting the intention, your energy's clear and like ready to receive when you're traveling. There's something about movement. Movement is such a manifester, bringing things to you when you take action, when you're moving. When you're at home and you're kind of stagnant, you're doing the same old, same old. There's this almost like stagnation of energy. And then also, to add to that, there's something about environment, like your environment matters. Even just going to a local cafe that you love, that you feel good in. And that's going into a different topic, but that gets to the microscopic version of locational astrology, which is using the lines in your local town or your neighborhood to see like what streets should I go down? What cafes should I be hanging out with? That's like a micro level of this work, but it's just so cool. It's so fascinating how environment really matters.
You just gave me like full body chills. I just felt it down my spine. Like literally, I don't know if you guys can see this. Look at my hair standing up. You can see that it just gave me
Yes.
chills. That is crazy. Oh my gosh, that's really wild. Okay, that leads me to something I learned about on your Instagram, which is relocation, which you did, and you highly recommend people at least look into it, even if they don't lean into it, but look into relocation. So tell us about how the lines on your map can tell you kind of where you should live and even maybe where you shouldn't.
Yeah. So we have what's called relocation charts. And these charts are cast like your birth chart. So when you were born, you have a birth chart. And this birth chart is kind of like a blueprint of your life. And it's set for your exact time of birth and your exact location. But we also have relocation charts, which is essentially taking your birth chart and it's as if you were born in a different part of the world at the same exact time. So if you were born at the same exact moment you took your first breath, but you were born in Tokyo, Japan, this is what the story of Japan shows for you. And when we look at these relocation charts, there's going to be certain things that we see that, a professional astrologer can see quickly that shows like, do you love living here? Is this a place where you feel at home? Does this a place feel like a place that you belong here? Like, I love the place. I love my home life, my domestic life, my family life. It's like, think of that private part of us, not so much career or relationships or friends, but like, do I feel like, oh, the land here is calling me? The nature, the soil, the place, the history, is it calling me? And I don't know how your audience or how you feel about past lives, but I personally believe in past lives. And I do think that there's also these places that show where it's best to live and love, our home life. It also can show us a past life connection or where we feel is familiar, like we've lived there before. There's a sense of familiarity with a land or a country or a place, a way of life. And so that's relocation astrology. It's seeing like if you relocated, what would your life be like? What is happening in the house of friends? What's happening in the house of money? How is your career shifting when you move to this place? What about your spouse and your relationship with your partner? What's shifting when you move? Who are the people that you're meeting when you move to this location? These special charts called relocation charts show you a deep dive. I think of it kind of like a street view on Google Maps. Like you got the Google map view of the world. That's like your astrocartography lines, like those lines you see on the map. But then if you want to see like all the different areas of your life and what specifically is happening in all these areas of life, you go down to the Google Street View. And that's the relocation chart. And so I help people relocate to places that would best support them. And of course, asking them in sessions, private consultations, like, what are your goals? What's important to you? What's your intentions, right? That's so important to know. If someone's intention for that season of life is, I want to go big in career, I'm going to make sure we're seeing a lot of career activity or support in either the house of money or the house of public recognition or the house of jobs, right? Just to make sure that that's supported for them. But yeah, relocation astrology, it's fascinating. I'm telling you, everyone's relocating right now. It's crazy. And it's because Jupiter just entered Cancer. And I've been waiting for this transit since 2022. When I saw this was coming, I was like, everyone's going to want to find like, where is home? Where do they want to live? Is the place that they're living, are their needs and desires being met there? And it could be even on a micro level. Like if you live with a housemate or a roommate, do you like living with that person? If not, you need to move, Or do you like your local town? Do you like your neighbors? Do you feel like your needs and desires are being met by your local community? These are all questions that are going to be on everyone's mind throughout the next full year.
Okay, tell us a little bit more about this transition that you've been waiting on and what it means for us.
Yeah. Well, one, I think this mass kind of migration energy is going to be happening where people are looking for home foundations. And also, another part of this is I think a lot of babies are going to be born over this next year, this next full year, a lot of babies. And these babies, I believe, we were talking about this before, they're here to be of service. They're so advanced. I'm so excited for this new generation of babies to be born right now, especially this year for until summer of 26 is when this transit will end. But there's just this feeling of faith, of hope, of belief, and of connection to something bigger. Neptune's the North Node's also in Pisces right now, which is like this collective energy of like focusing on the bigger picture of your collective ideals, your faith, that vision of like helping the world, helping others. That big picture vision is so big right now for the next year. And it's just this spiritual wave of energy, of compassion, of empathy. But there's this also this beautiful balance of like owning your own self-sovereignty, living and owning yourself, trusting yourself, and leaning on your intuition above all else. Your inner voice is the answer. Your inner voice, your inner compass is the way home. And this is the time when everyone's kind of opening and waking up to that,
Mm.
especially because we have these other transits, these collective generational transits with Neptune in Aries, Saturn in Aries for the next 3 years, Neptune in Aries for the next 14 years, which is be you. You can't follow the crowd anymore. You have to own your decisions and stand true in them. And so there's this like cool collective wave of like independent thought and being you, but also this like faith-based energy of within one's bigger picture vision. And then on the flip side, we also have Uranus about to enter Gemini. Literally July 7th, it begins, which is all about new technologies, how we communicate is going to shift. World's going to look very different in 8 years when this is finished. Transportation, education systems are going to be completely revamped, schooling completely shifted. And then Pluto and Aquarius, which is like the most technologically advanced time that we're stepping into. I've been telling everyone we're entering the Industrial Revolution 2.0. The beginning of the Industrial Revolution, it was a time of people scared about their jobs, people worried about how technology and all of these new things, machines were going to take people's jobs away and shift everything. And in the beginning, it was really hard for a lot of people, but we got through it and actually made life a lot easier for people. And we're going to be in that now. We're kind of in the beginning of it, which is hard, but we're going to get through it. And I've been telling people that the jobs that your kids will be, the babies that are being born right now, their jobs will be so different when they're adults than what we have today. Their jobs have not been created yet. They haven't been made yet. That's what I mean by like we're in the Industrial Revolution 2.0. It hasn't even been built yet. It's being built behind the scenes as we speak, but by the time these babies are adults, it's a new landscape that we're in. I just got chills all over my body just now.
Oh my
It's a
God.
completely new
Yeah.
landscape, completely new world. Everything's going to look different when we get out of Pluto and Aquarius, and that's 20 years from now. And so, all of this that I'm saying, it's like all these transits I'm talking about, this is such a rare thing. This doesn't happen often. These kinds of transits don't happen often all at the same time. We're seeing these outer planets, and outer planets are basically planets that take forever to move. They stay 20 years in one zodiac sign or 14 years in one zodiac sign. The fact that they're all moving at the same time, it's a new era. It's a new beginning and it's exciting. Now, in the beginning, it's hard. And I'm telling people, this is the time right now to build your nervous systems. Learn the different tools or techniques to help ground yourself, whether that's EFT tapping or so many different tools. There's breath work, which is something I do every day, meditation work, journaling. I journal every single morning the minute I wake up, drinking enough water, staying hydrated, consuming the content that you need to stay informed, but then getting off, protecting your channel. This is the time right now, especially this year, 26 and 27, where it's like we're going to be tested. Can we hold ourselves? Can we stay anchored in our nervous systems? Because if we can stay anchored in our unshakability, in our self-sovereignness, we're going to be able to ride these transits. We're going to be able to get through anything. But it's not allowing ourselves to be super reactive or to let what's outside of us control us. That is going to be the real test for these next coming years.
Oh my gosh, this is so cool. Okay, I think that when people hear like we're in the beginning of a industrial revolution and technology is going to explode in a way that we can't really even comprehend right now, a lot of people get scared. I think there's a lot of really like fear-based things out on the internet right now. It is a lot of AI is dangerous, technology is dangerous, and I do think that that can be true in a lot of ways. I really do. However, and I've not been shy about this on the podcast, I think that AI is the future too. And I don't think that
Mhm.
there's any way that we're going to be able to stop that. I think it's here and I think that it's coming. And if you dig your heels in, you're actually going to be left behind. So you might as well learn how to coexist with it, use it, take advantage of it, and put boundaries around it so that you can interact with it in a safe way. I think a lot of people really envision that scene from Wally where, everyone is fat and they are riding around on these things and they're just numb in the brain and they're really dumb and unintelligent and they can't think for themselves and they've lost all critical thinking skills and there's absolutely no interpersonal relationships, no human interaction. Walk us back from that ledge. How do we not let ourselves go down that rabbit hole to think like, holy cow, I just don't want, I mean, because we don't want that, right? I don't want that.
Right.
You don't want that. Nobody wants that to be us. But
Yeah.
if you let yourself go, you can totally see how we might be able to very easily slip down that slippery slope. So,
Yeah.
what comes up for you around that idea?
I am nervous in general for the beginning of AI
Okay.
because we are seeing a lot of people give their full decisions, choices to AI. We're seeing people lean on it and rely on it heavily. I think that is dangerous, and I am concerned about that. However, I actually think AI is absolutely the future. This is just the beginning. This is very beginning. The whole, like, everything's going to change because of AI. But I do think it's actually going to make us more brilliant in a lot of ways. The jobs that we will have, we will be able to do things we've never done before, or like it's almost like the jobs that actually we didn't need to do, that weren't actually necessary for us. I believe we're going to tap into a higher brilliance because those jobs are taken. And now we're using this other element of our minds and our other talents to work with AI. I am very positive about the future of AI in that I think it is just going to unlock, I mean, things we can't even comprehend in the best way possible. Medicine, technology, industries, things are going to be easier. We're going to be able to get information faster. But I think that the key in the test is not depending on it for your choices with everything. And that's what I'm more concerned about, is seeing people build deep connections with AI on almost like a relationship. And then they outsource their intuition to AI. And that's what I'm seeing a lot of right now in like the spiritual communities. And I'm really concerned because what I think is the way to use it is AI is a tool where we can generate ideas and think of outside of the box solutions for our businesses and all of that. But then we come back to the heart of our own inner authority and our own intuition to call the shots. We make the decisions, we make the choices. And it's about interacting with AI in a positive way and then stepping back and asking ourselves, what's the right choice here? Or what should I do? For example, I'm a writer, I'm an author. I have a book that came out a year ago. Like I write constantly. I'm never going to be outsourcing my voice to AI because it doesn't feel right. It feels icky to me. However, I can use AI to organize my life, my calendar, my tools, automation, emails, automating tasks in my business, giving me some ideas of things I can play with for content, but then I'm taking back my voice and creating from there. So it's almost like you can use it as an outline or a prompt, but then you take back your authority. I think that's the balance and the bridge of how we are going to be working with AI in the future, using it to generate and help us. And then it helps us maximize our brilliance. I don't think it's going to be bad like Wall-E. And it's funny you mentioned Wall-E, that scene, because that is literally one of my nightmare scenes. I'm a huge Disney
Me
fan.
too. Me too. What a nightmare that would be.
I literally stopped watching the movie at that point. I think like 10 years ago, whenever it came out. I saw it with my boyfriend at the time, my husband now. We saw that scene and it like gave me nightmares. And I stopped watching the movie after that because it was so scary to me. And there is something really important about that. But I think we've got the power as humans and we're going to be fine. It's just the beginning, I think, that's going to be an adjustment period.
Sure, just like finding our footing and how do we balance AI with the goals that we truly want and actually using it as a tool rather than relinquishing our power to it, which
Yeah.
I agree with you. I think a lot of people haven't found that balance yet. And I do think it's
Mhm.
scary when you see things online that say, college students have less critical thinking skills because they are test taken with AI, or that, AI is nearly as accurate as medical providers in certain situations. It really encourages people to turn to AI instead of professionals that we should be trusting or could be utilizing.
Well, even in astrology, I have so many friends who are professional astrologers, and I've even had some of my YouTube commenters or subscribers tell me their charts and their placements, and it's wrong. Can we use AI in the future? Maybe, possibly when it gets really good. But I think with certain like very technical pursuits like astrology, ChatGPT and these AI systems, they're doing it incorrectly right now, but I do think in the future it can be a helpful tool in astrology. But as of right now, it's not accurate. And so, yeah, I'm cautious now, especially in the beginning, but I'm very hopeful for the future with AI. I really am.
Yeah, okay. I am a big astrology fan. So while we're on the playing field of astrological signs, I would love to tell you my sign and my
Yes.
husband's sign. And then I want to kind of tell you what our baby might be. And let me fill you in a little bit. And then you tell me whatever comes up for you. So I am an April Aries, and that probably tells you everything you need to know about me. I am the quintessential April Aries. I am loyal to a fault. I am ferocious and fierce. I am fire. I love deeply. I feel things so deeply. And I'm really good at, I guess, like deciphering BS. So I see through fake people and liars and narcissists. I'm able to kind of just really hone in on like that person is not who they are. Okay. My husband is a Leo, and he is the quintessential Leo. He is strong and determined and successful. People love him. He is magnetic, but he's also very sensitive. And that's one of the things I really love about him. And we are a power couple together. People tell us that all the time. We felt it when we first got together. We have been together for going on 12 years now. We are still very much a power couple. We're expecting our first baby in November. I had a dream when I was, oh my gosh, 4 or 5 weeks pregnant. So brand new pregnant, that this was going to be a Sagittarius. And we call this baby Saggy. We don't know if it's a boy or a girl, but what I will tell you is I think the name Saggy is going to stick forever because now it's just their little identity. It's just their little personality. However, I'm well aware that this baby might be a Scorpio as well. So I would love to hear how our family dynamics might change, how we will interact, what this baby would bring into our life if they were a Scorpio versus a Sagittarius. And if you're picking up any energy, let that shine through.
Well, first off, my instinct and intuition says it's going to be a Sagittarius. And if it is, and it's interesting because I see this with a lot of families, they'll all be air signs, they'll all be fire signs, they'll all like, it'll all work.
Totally.
It's fascinating. It's so wild how it always works. Like they'll be in the same energy. And so my instinct says Sagittarius. If the baby's a Sagittarius, there will be a lot of creativity in the home. Fire, energy, ideas, loud conversations around the dinner table, going out for activities, going on adventures all the time. Maybe you guys are creating together, or there's just some sort of like creative energy. Aries is all about independence and being yourself, not following the crowd, you being you, courageous. Leo is shining a light. And I always say Leo is, I think, the most authentic zodiac sign because it can't be any other way. I always describe Leo as a fireplace. Sagittarius is like a wildfire in that it spreads and it's expansive and it can like latch on to other things and grow. Aries is kind of like a firework or a quick like target, like a very quick like shooting fire, and then like a one single target. And then I always describe Leo as a fireplace because Leo has this enduring quality of it's always there. It's always present, just stays there. The fireplace. It's always shedding light for everyone around them who wants to get some light, get some joy, get some magic. The fireplace is enduring and fixed and waiting for other people to come around it. So that's that energy. And so when you guys get together, what a power couple. Yes. And if the Sagittarius is there, there's going to be even more of that fire, creativity, all of that. Now, if it's a Scorpio baby, there's going to be a little bit more stubbornness between the baby and your Leo partner.
Okay.
because they're both fixed. They're both stubborn. Scorpio will always win the battle, but in terms of stubbornness and who wins, but they're both very stubborn and fixed in their ways. The Scorpio energy, though, is very psychic and intuitive. It's kind of like this still waters run deep energy. Like it's stoic and like focused and grounded, but there's something underneath the surface that's always there. And it's kind of that energy that you mentioned, you said about when you're describing yourself. And I almost thought to myself, are you a Scorpio rising? I'm so curious. I want to look up your chart later on when we're talking because I'm like, are you a Scorpio rising? Because that sounds like a Scorpio rising placement. But with Scorpio, there's this energy of like being able to read people, see through things, being able to perceive, spot what's true and what's not. This kind of energy of like being very perceptive and psychic and on the nose about things. You don't know how, you don't know why, you just know. You just
Yes.
know. That's Scorpio. So you got something in Scorpio, I'm sure of it. And so if it's Scorpio baby, there's going to be this like deep psychic, spiritual healer also energy in the home. Scorpio babies need some privacy though. They kind of need to be doing their own thing. They need quiet time and they need to really be able to learn how to connect with their intuition in a deeper way. Sagittarius, just let the Sag baby run and have fun and play and do all the things it's going to want to do. But with a Scorpio baby, it's like giving it space to really dive deep within itself and holding space for all of its feelings because Scorpios feel so, I would say Pisces and Scorpios feel the deepest. And there's just this ability to feel everything, compassion for everyone. And so being able to give it space and time to feel all of its feelings, to let it cry, all of that is so important with a Scorpio baby.
Oh my gosh, I cannot wait to meet this little baby. I'm so excited. And like whatever they want to be, I trust that it will be the right sign to enter our
Yes.
family. I trust that they will teach my husband and I whatever we need to learn and know. This was not a planned pregnancy, and the timing has worked out just so well. So I just trust this baby so much. We had plans to start trying to make a baby later in this year when we conceived. And to be completely honest, at first, I was a little sad because it wasn't my plan. It had not gone along, very Aries of me. It had not gone along with what I had planned out. And it's summer now, and I'm pregnant in the summer, and the summer is my favorite season, and I thought that I would want to have a newborn in the summer, but the internet reminded me that if I have a newborn in the winter, then my baby is actually going to be grown enough to interact with me and do something fun next summer. So that was really cool. It's so fun to see how the timing has worked out, even though it wasn't what I had quote unquote planned. And when I just kind of trusted the universe to take control, it
Yeah.
delivered exactly what I needed.
Oh, yeah. And I always say, trust your timeline because what's for you can't go past you. I really believe you can't get this life wrong at all. The exact day that your baby is born is the day that is meant to be born. The time, make sure that when that baby is born, you have got someone on the clock watching that clock the minute the baby comes out. So you know the birth time because the birth time will also shift its rising sign. And you're gonna learn so much about the natal promise of your child the minute that the baby is born. It's fascinating. And also just to like bring some inspiration and upliftment to this, your baby is going to have better placements because it's born at the end of the year. So very, very happy that Saturn will be in a better position too when they're born. Because when the baby's born, the chart is showing their story, their qualities, their energies, their everything, all of that. And the end of the year is a lot nicer.
That is awesome. Okay, you're talking about 2025 specifically, the
Yeah.
end of the year is
Yes.
better
Yes.
than the beginning was.
Then yes. Then now than earlier this year. Like I love that Saturn's going to be in a much better position at the end of the year and
Tell
during
us
Scorpio Sag season.
Okay, so tell us a little bit more about 2025. I hear you talk about this a lot online.
Yeah.
We're in a very transitional year. You've
Hmm.
talked about it a little bit previously, where all of the outer planets are moving together and we've got a lot of shifting going on. But one
Hmm.
thing you talk about a lot online is that we're kind of in a year of war almost. So tell us about that.
Yeah. I started making videos online a couple of years ago to prepare people for it because we're entering what's called, in the United States, we're entering what's called the Uranus return. And Uranus is a planet of change and innovation. And in the United States birth chart, it's happening in the seventh house of open enemies, and it's conjunct Mars, which is a planet of war and challenge. Every time Uranus comes back to this position in the United States birth chart, when the founding of the country was, built 1776, July 4th, the Declaration of Independence signing, every time Uranus comes to this exact spot, we have war. The US gets involved in a war. The first time was the American Revolutionary War. The second time was the US Civil War. And then the third time was when the US specifically entered World War II, right after the bombing of Pearl Harbor. And then the US entered the war. So on July 7th, this planet, Uranus, is entering Gemini, which is beginning a 7 to 8 year cycle of this time again. And the last time we had this was World War II. So this plus a couple of other transits that are happening, specifically the Aries stuff I've been mentioning of these big planets entering Aries, which is a wartime. I think the world is going to be going through it, but specifically the US. Now, I have two predictions I've been making. The first prediction is it's a US Civil War type scenario where it's like two divisive sides that can't agree. Because Gemini, Uranus is in Gemini, and Gemini is about the duality of ideas, seeing multiple perspectives, and arguing and fighting over which side is right, which side is better. So there's that energy within the country that can absolutely come out. And we already saw a bit of it, like during the LA protests recently, we were having some transits that were literally activating the LA. I think that story can continue. The other prediction I have is like a global war, a global conflict. And I've been really paying attention to the whole Iran story. I think a lot of people think it's over and it's done with. I do not think it's over. I think it literally just started. And I'm very concerned that Iran will possibly connect with other countries. The reason I think other countries will get involved in some way is because Russia's birth chart has specific alignments that are in alignment with what's happening over the next 3 years. So Russia's charts gets very active. Putin's chart gets very active. And then also Donald Trump's chart, his map, because we're entering war years, when I look at Donald Trump's chart, I notice that his war lines on his astrocartography map are happening in certain countries. Now, the guy who created astrocartography, his name's Jim Lewis, the guy who created this. He wrote in his book how throughout history, when the world is involved in a global conflict or a global war, the president of that country, though that president's lines on the map are showing where there's conflict involving the president. And so we look to Mars lines for this because Mars represents war and aggression and conflict. We also can look at Pluto lines, which Pluto lines do represent death. And so we look to those lines. Now, Donald Trump has his Mars line going right through Washington, D.C., Pennsylvania, where, the news happened last July of the near assassination attempt. And also, he's got Mars lines going through North Korea. He's got a Mars line going through China and Pluto, which is not great to see. And then he has a Mars line going through Ukraine. So I'm just like, why is it that Trump has all his war lines going through these specific countries? And also adding in the timing, I wouldn't look at a president's lines all the time if we weren't getting involved in a war transit. But because the timing is matching up with Trump's lines, I'm concerned about those countries in particular. The other thing is, I actually made this prediction to The Economist last fall before the election. Trump entered the peak of his life. So we have what's called peak periods. And peak periods in your life's timing basically show you the biography of your life. When are the chapters of your life most important, most defining, most active? When are your big things happening in your life? His peak of his entire life literally just started at the end of April of this year. So you think about everything he's done, everything he's built in his life, his business, the presidency, all the things. He literally just activated the biggest peak of his life, which makes me think, what hasn't he like what's he going to do? What's going to happen to him? What's the mission, the message of what his life, his soul that came to this planet to do? How does that point to a larger thing for the collective? And so all of this to say, these are hard years coming up, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm very optimistic. I got Jupiter on my ascendant in my chart. I'm always seeing the silver lining of everything. But realistically, these are hard years coming up. Now, the good news of this is that in 2033, this transit will be over. And when it's over, consistently, the US is a stronger place. It's people are united, people are together. It's like a new clean foundation. I'm getting chills again all over my legs. It's a new clear foundation for the country when we get out of Uranus and Gemini. It's just the years when Uranus and Gemini, it's like the years before Uranus and Gemini, there's all this conflict mounting and building, 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 building. And then Uranus and Gemini is like, okay, now we're fighting it out. And then Uranus in Cancer is let's come back together again. So I do believe there's something cosmic and bigger than us that we can't see. Our human minds can't comprehend or understand why this has to happen. But I believe, my faith deep down believes that there's something at the end of this that's going to be better for the collective humanity. And we're going to get through it.
That if you can just hang on and weather these hard times,
Yeah.
there is almost a pot of gold at the end of
Yes.
this.
Yes. And I also think, a lot of people are worried about nuclear war. I'm personally not concerned about that. I mean, there are transits that are devastating to see. I'm not seeing that in the chart during these 8 years. There are very hard transits, yes. But like I think a lot of people I've been seeing on the internet, like nuclear war, like, oh my God, what if the whole country is kind of devastated? I personally don't think it's going to be that bad. Just seeing the transits collectively, I think it's just going to be the US is involved in a big war, like a major war.
Are you seeing like technology wars,
Yeah.
blackouts, grids going
Yes.
down? Yeah.
100%. It's all that. It's all technology because Pluto's in Aquarius and Pluto is death. And when it's in Aquarius, every time, so Pluto's a generational planet. It takes like 20 years to go through a zodiac sign. When we saw Pluto in Sag, it was literally the conflict and fight toward religion. We saw 9/11 happened. That was a major transit was 9/11. Pluto in Sag was literally terrorism from religion and like things like that, extreme religion, right? Pluto in Scorpio before that was the AIDS pandemic. It's literally death to, sexual things. Scorpio's sexual, the body, darker things. We had unfortunately a lot of serial killers during those years when Pluto was in Scorpio. Pluto in Libra was a lot of relationship abuse and corruption, right? Pluto in Capricorn, which was from 2008 until this year, was all about death to the bank system, currency, real estate. We had the housing crash immediately when Pluto entered Aquarius. It was the housing market that got disrupted and the crash that happened with the real estate, right? We had crypto rise with Pluto in Capricorn and Uranus and Taurus. Now, this new wave we're in, it's all technology. It's the grid. It's what's online. It's our technological infrastructure, right? It's all the things that are online. It's electricity. It's power outages. I think we're going to see a lot of drone warfare. I think we're going to see a lot of like air things happening, like air warfare more than being on the ground. I think this is going to be a lot more in the air happening. And then also just, yeah, like hacking into systems, I think is going to be the big warfare that's used, as well as psychological warfare on people's minds. I think that is going to be the war that I mean is it's psychological, it's digital, and it's in the air. Those themes because Pluto's in Aquarius and Uranus is in Gemini.
Do you think, or did the maps and charts show you that COVID was almost a practice round for what's to come? Oh, your big head nod scares me.
Yeah, I mean, the COVID was a huge transit that happens like never happens, but when it does, it's pretty devastating. This is a continuation of themes around that, but it's a different energy because at the time, those big transits were in different zodiac signs. So it's a different energy now. It's not as like being locked in your home. I think it's a lot more because that was literally a transit of like being isolated or being stuck somewhere. This transit is a lot more um mental. It's a lot more heady than
Psychological.
anything. Yeah.
Totally.
And that's what I mean. Like my intuition keeps telling me all the time in my meditation is like you need to teach people and tell people how to stay regulated in their nervous systems or how to rely on their intuition and stay connected to themselves because so much of this is going to be so psychological and psychologically taxing, I think, on a lot of people.
I can see that. I
Yeah.
feel that in my
Yeah.
body for sure. I think the way that you can't tell the difference of what's AI and what's not. It's already beginning. I think that the way that so many people have trouble identifying what's evidence-based versus what's not, what's propaganda versus what's
Mhm.
the truth. How
Yeah.
do we actually decipher all of the content and the input that we're getting around us every single day? It feels confusing and we're having trouble identifying the authentic versus the inauthentic, and we're really struggling to know who and what to believe. So I
Yeah.
feel that so deeply in my soul already.
Yeah. Oh, I know. It's so hard to differentiate what's real. Like now with VO3, I think it's called, it's like the new AI for videos. It looks so real. And I have a good friend who works at Walt Disney Studios, and she tells me like what's going on. They've been working on AI for years now. They've been trying to get their team and the writers and the animators like to get open to AI because it's been coming for many years. And now it's like they're in it now. And um literally AI is going to be used for a lot of things. And so, and there's going to be good sides to it too. Like there's positive things like they're going to be doing some old school stuff mixing it with AI, but it is a new world and being able to differentiate what's real and what's not is really important. But yeah, I know that's something I've been concerned about and just thinking about too, is because I'm a creator online. Like I'm a YouTube creator. I make vlogs. I love making videos. Like my voice and me getting on camera is literally my favorite thing to do in the world.
Me
And
too.
yeah, and it's like seeing what's happening. A friend of mine is now working, someone I know, he's moving over to Meta, and it's like the changes that are happening. It's like our creators going to still be like not having a job, but like a lot of people are going to be just making AI videos and it's going to look real. That it's like, are people going to want to keep making videos? I want to because I love it. And I am hopeful that people will still want that authentic, honest creator to show up to make content. I'm hoping that's still a thing. And I do think just my heart says that people are still going to want that. But I think we are about to be inundated with so much content because of AI making it so easy for people with a click of a button to make 100 videos.
And you don't have to show up like yourself, right? So you could be some man in a basement and you have taken on this whole persona, and your actual online identity is
Yeah.
some young, attractive female that's who your audience believes, deeply believes that they're following and are growing these connections with. And it's actually not who's behind that screen in the same way that you and I show up. And when I
Yeah.
answer a DM on Instagram, it's really me. And when you respond to an email, it's
Yeah.
really you. And we
Yeah.
truly show up one to one for our clients. It won't be the same. That's very scary to me.
Yeah, that's the part of it that I'm like most concerned about is are they is that creator actually that person? And
Mm.
I think it's called AI clones. I think those are going to be huge 3 years from now. Like we're all going to have AI clones. I mean, who knows? Like who knows what we're going to do, but like I think that everyone's going to have an AI clone.
I hate that.
I know. I know. I do too. And it's I've been telling people if you want to get in on social media, do it now. Do it now. These next three
Okay.
years are prime time.
Yeah.
Use this, especially this next year, but the next 3 years, because I just think there's just going to be so many changes we can't even see yet.
Yeah. Wow, that's a little scary. So going back to the countries and the birth charts of countries, I assume that all countries have their own birth chart. So all
Hmm.
countries have their own almost biography that country will evolve into. Is that correct?
That's right. Yeah. So the moment that a country was born or like they got independence, they fought a war and then they won, or like the US signing the Declaration of Independence, each country has a birth chart. Some are really easy to find. Like, for instance, Israel's really easy to find because it's a younger country. The US is easy to find because it's a younger country. Some countries are harder. They have a variety of different birth charts because there's so many different wars and battles and things they found. So it's harder to make predictions finding an accurate birth time for specific countries. However, what I like to use is what's called geodetic astrology. This is another branch of locational astrology, but it essentially shows you where in the world are events taking place? Like, where is this energy of this transit that we see on the chart for the world? Where in the world is it happening? Is it going through New York? Is it going through France? Where is it happening? And so, geodetic astrology is really helpful for pinpointing events, energies, and where they're taking place.
Yeah, that is fascinating. I can't even begin to tell you. Well, you were the first person that introduced me to this idea of locational astrology and just all the ways that you think about the way that you interact with the world around you according to astrology. I had never heard that before. And it was a big driver to have you on the show. So
Yeah.
super fun to have you kind of explain all of this. This is just really insane. I want to know a little bit more about partnerships too. I know I'm jumping back to relationships, but when we're choosing our romantic partnerships or let's say our best friends, and I think a lot of us probably don't feel like we choose our best friends because a lot of times they just kind of come into our lives and we're like, oh my
Yeah.
God, this person is my soulmate on a friendship level. What do we need to know about astrology and choosing romantic partners or choosing our best friends?
Such a great question. And one I'm really passionate about because I love finding like where are your people? Where are they in the world? And there's two parts to this. On one hand, it's absolutely location, and we can see these lines called descendant lines, and they're on the map. And so these maps, they'll look if you go to like astro.com, which is like your free astrocartography map. You just go to astro click travel and you'll see your map there. When you see the little letters DS or DSC, or it might say DC, variation of that, that means it's about people. It's a place in the world that's about relationships and others. So your partner or your best friend or like your people in your life, where are they? Where are they based? And so those are the places to look out for. I'll give you an example. I met my husband on my Mercury descendant line. So Mercury, the planet of like ideas, teaching, communication, writing, travel, that busy bee energy. I call it like a hummingbird. That energy was on a partner line, the descendant line. My husband, in his birth chart where he was born, he has Mercury on his ascendant. And ascendant is you. It's literally your body, who you are, your identity. And so the fact that when I moved to New York, I left California when I was 18. I moved to New York. I dated for years, met my husband there, Mercury on the partnership line. And then he had Mercury on himself. It was just such a cool story of like how it's the same planet, but you're on each other. And this happens with so many couples that I meet. They'll have them reversed. Some other places where like people meet their partners are, aside from the descendant lines, are like Venus lines, which is love, romance, partnership, marriage. I see a lot of people meet on Venus lines. Also Jupiter lines. Jupiter descendant lines are huge places of like where your people are from. Now, in conjunction with this, we also have to add the timing part. Because just, and I always tell my clients this, we can time your trips that you can meet someone on that line, or you can find your people on that line, but we need to make sure it's at the right time. So I am always looking for like Like for instance, I'll look for to see Venus, the planet of love and beauty. I'm going to wait until it goes through a certain part of that person's birth chart, like the seventh house of marriage and spouse, like meeting your partner, falling in love with a person. Or if it's going through the fifth house of dating, sex, and romance. When I see Venus going through the fifth, I'm like, ooh, that's a fun time to like go on a date and meet someone. Or likewise, if someone wants to make a friend and make maybe go on a retreat, a spiritual retreat, or join a community or membership or make friends, I'm going to wait till Venus enters the 11th house of friendship and community events so that when the timing is right, it's almost like when there's an opening, for that person, a window of opportunity that's being presented, then let's get them to that line. So it's like right place, right time. So I'm always blending location with timing because you could go to your relationship lines for sure, but will something happen that week? You got to look at the timing. You got to time it right. And I also just want to say that you're going to go where you're meant to go. Your heart's going to call you where you're meant to be. Your friends are going to be born in those places. You're going to meet your friends in those places. You can't avoid your fate. You can't avoid the magic of your life. And you're going to meet your people that you're meant to meet. And often, when you look up your astrocartography map, it's perfectly aligned.
Oh my gosh, I love that so much. I'm such a spiritual person in that regard of just believing very similar to you. Is just like you can't mess this life up. Like whatever is meant
Mhm.
for you will find you at the right time. And that took me many years to come into that idea and to really accept it and embrace it. And so now when I get told no by the universe, I actually don't view it as a no. I view it as a not right now. This is not the right time and place. But because it's on my heart, because I know that I want it, because I already believe that it's mine, I know that it's coming to me and I trust that I don't have to know the details. I don't have to know how or when or how long or necessarily how to achieve it. I just know that it's going to be mine, and I trust that the universe, in the right time and place, will reveal the rest of the answers to me so that I can carry out whatever needs to be carried out in order to achieve that goal or that dream or whatever I'm meant to be here on earth for.
Yeah, I believe that too. And it's that idea of your setbacks are your setups. They're just preparing you for the next thing. There's been so many times in my life where what I wanted didn't happen. And I was so frustrated for so long after it. And then years later, I look back at my life and I'm like, oh, it had to happen that way. Because if that didn't happen, then I wouldn't do that. And then that decision wouldn't be made. And then I wouldn't do this. It's a butterfly effect.
Yeah.
Everything unfolds perfectly. And that's such a core message in all of my work. Everything I share is like, you can't mess this life up. All you have to do is follow your excitements, find joy in the simple joys of life, and follow the data and the breadcrumbs every day. When you notice a sign or an opening appear, go follow that. Follow the light, follow the excitements, the curiosities that are whispering to your soul, that are begging your inner compass to be explored. Always keep following the next thing and know that every step you take is literally leading to the next moment and the next one, which will lead to the unfolding of what you're here to do. And you can't get it wrong. It's your perfect divine timeline.
My gosh, I love that so, so much. Okay, I'd like to end on a question of astrology. And if you could, would you take us through each of the astrological signs and share what comes up for you in terms of giving birth, being pregnant, motherhood for each of the signs so that all of our listeners can take away a little personalized message of, or just like encouragement, empowerment of, okay, I'm in the right place, in the right time. I know what I'm doing.
We'll start with Capricorn. Your January, your Capricorn, stay grounded, stay anchored in the daily tasks of what are the things in your everyday that you'll be grateful and thankful that you did now, those small things. Enjoy the everyday process of that. If you're born in February and you're an Aquarius, Connect with someone online in a group or a friend online or a community where you can swap ideas or swap thoughts or pop culture bits of information or just something to bring you joy with community and connection. If you're born in March, Pisces, be in water, connect with water, go swim in the lake, be in the ocean, take a bath, drink lots of hydration, lots of water, and write in your journal every day a letter to your inner voice. If you're born in April and you're in Aries, I would say speak your truth, speak your voice, be your own hero, and be the leader of your life that you wish your inner child or your past childhood self would wish that you could be. Be the hero for your younger self today. If you're Taurus, born in May, get outside, touch some grass, connect with nature, connect with your animals, go for a long walk without your phone and just breathe and be with nature and slow down and fully breathe and soak in the present moment and connect with your senses more. Smell, touch, taste, perfume, good food, make a hot meal. Taurus energy. If you're Gemini, born in June, I would say Gemini born in June, because it's similar to Aquarius. I would say enjoy pop culture, enjoy the fun new things that are coming out, like a reality show or something that's fun, like a meme. Let yourself have fun on Pinterest or TikTok. Like just allow yourself to allow your mind to be stimulated in the ways that it brings you fun and curiosity. And also be okay with changing your mind a million times and having different perspectives on everything. You are so multifaceted. You can have 10 different opinions at once, and that is a beautiful thing. And we need that nuance in the world. So allow yourself to get multiple perspectives and see all the points of view. If you're Cancer born in July, ooh, hang out at home, be with your family. Make yourself a nice meal and enjoy this year because it's a great year for Cancers. Oh my gosh, Jupiter going over the sun. If you're a Leo, be creative. Allow yourself to be creative, whether it's music, dance, shining on camera, expressing yourself through your clothes, working on a project at home. Allow yourself to fully create and express yourself to your heart's content. Virgo, September, clean your home, organize, create systems in your life so that everything is like a nice oiled machine, a nice running smoothly. All the operations are moving smoothly. Maybe organize your photo albums on your phone or find ways to be useful and helpful to yourself and others around you. Virgo is all about usefulness and how to be helpful. It's literally what Virgo loves. And Libra, born in October, have fun designing, spatial awareness, creating a beautiful space in your home that is to your liking, or try a new makeup routine or a new beauty routine or a new hairstyle routine. That's something that brings you pleasure. Enjoy looking at interior design on Pinterest or a book that you have at home. Allow yourself to soak in beauty in terms of design, spatial awareness, fabrics, textures, all of that. Scorpio, born in November, get still and listen to your inner voice and your intuition on a deeper level. And also know that not everything is as it seems, and you know better than anyone. You can see through everything and lean into that gift and know that your senses, that sixth sense that you have, that ability to like sniff out a situation, it's always on the nose. And you know so much more than like so many people. So lean into that intuitive gift and slow down and be still when you need it. Sagittarius, go wild, be the wildfire that you are, and you can do a million things at once and go deeper into philosophy, spirituality, religion, meditation. Sagittarius, I always say there's two types of Sagittariuses in the world. One of them is like the traveler and the adventurer that like wants to soak in all the cultures and kind of the freedom energy of being able to see the world. And then the other one is wanting to be at home surrounded by books or in a library where there's just so much knowledge to soak in. Allow yourself time to like read everything you want and soak in as much knowledge as you want. And then, yeah, those are the 12.
Oh my gosh, I love that. You guys, a little personal reading. That was so special. And I
Oh,
hope that all of our listeners out there felt that connection. I hope you feel like that was a message that was exactly for you. And I hope that you know, if you're not feeling it, let me reassure you that you are exactly where you are supposed to be in this exact time. I promise you that you are. It is all working out for you. The universe always has your back. It always does, and it always will. I say it all the time. And I know it's hard to sometimes remember that. So just let that be your little nudge that you are in the right time at the right place. I promise. Oh my gosh.
Absolutely. Yeah, and we see it, as astrologers, everything's timed and it's beautiful. It's so, you can't get this wrong. You're right on time.
I love that so much. You are living your perfect life. I promise that. Even in the hardest of hard times, there is something in this message, in this time, in this space, in this phase for you. Oh, I love it so much. I could geek
Yes,
out all day, every day.
so good.
Okay, where can people find their maps and
Mhm.
does it have to do with like where we're born and when we're born and all of that jazz?
Yes, so it's based on the exact time of your birth, your location. So if you don't have your exact time of birth, you'll want to look into what's called a chart rectification specialist to find that exact time of birth. But once you get your birth time, you can go to helenawoods.com/freebies and you'll get my cheat sheet. I have a lot of different free gifts for you, free blog posts. I've got free YouTube videos on my YouTube channel where I teach on this too there. So it depends if you like the written word or more video version, or my podcast, Cosmic Compass. I have podcasts as well on astrocartography. But you'll go to helenawoods.com/freebies and there's a free cheat sheet for you. You can download the free cheat sheet and it'll tell you what all the lines on your map mean, like a basic introduction to what all these lines mean. So you can head over to astro.com afterward and then pull up your map on the Astro Click travel feature. And then with that cheat sheet, you can see like, oh, this symbol and these letters, that's what this is. That's what this energy of this location is. And there's so much more. It goes way more in depth. We also have latitude lines, like as an example, let's say you have your sun line in LA or sun line in California, but San Francisco is going to be so different from Los Angeles because you're at a different latitude. That's because we have these horizontal lines going through our maps too. So there's so much to it. But if you want to go deeper in learning this for yourself, this timeless skill, you can head over to helenawoods.com/courses. I've got a variety of different courses on astrology and different things, but the Relocation Astrology course is the biggest one. It's like the flagship signature course. You can get it at any time. There's tons of class call replays and recordings, and it's so jam-packed and epic. And even if you're a beginner, it's great for the beginner because I walk you through the very basics of like what all the planets mean, what all the signs mean, what all the houses mean, all the different things. You can put your chart together and learn your birth chart. And then we add in the location bit. And by the time this launches, my certification will be launching in August 20th it launches. But I have a membership as well that's coming out. So if anyone wants to join the monthly Cosmic Compass membership, that's really exciting. That's coming out. Monthly forecast with the astrology, how to best work with the energy, use the energy. If you're running your own business or a leader in your own work, your heart-led service is a great way to connect with me every month. And then finally, I'm on Instagram at Ms. Helena Woods. You can find daily updates over there.
And tell us about your book.
Oh yeah, my book, Slow Living. My book, Slow Living, I came out with this, is it April 23 is when it was published. And I wrote this after moving to France. And it's basically a whole book on all my life advice and like everything I've learned living in France, my spiritual journey, connecting with my inner voice and my intuition, all the advice I wish I knew years ago. If you've ever wanted to slow down your life and connect with the simple pleasures, the simple joys of your everyday, it's a beautiful book with my photographs from around the world. I've traveled around the world taking photos, and it's so beautiful. It's a little hard coffee table book, and that's on my website as well.
Oh my gosh, that just gave me such a blanket feeling. I just felt like comfort and a sense of like groundedness run over me. That
Yeah.
amazing.
I know. And before I did YouTube for years, especially during COVID, I was making videos like to bring people comfort, to help people slow down and connect with their heart in a bigger way. And during COVID, I just felt like we need to show up and be of service and shine our light. And I feel that way now too. And now my mission is a little bit different in that I'm helping people relocate and move and find their best places. But the message of slowing down to really soak in all of life and the beauty of life, the joys of life. There's so much beauty in all of the duality. And yeah, I hope that this message, this video, this episode with you and all of that inspires you to soak in the beauty.
And I trust that it will find the right people at the right time, exactly when they need to hear this. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. Helena, truly, thank you so much for being here. Thanks for joining me. And listeners, you guys take what serves you from this episode. I know that, not everything in every single episode is going to serve you 100%. That's something we talk about. Take what serves you. I want you to learn how to tap into your intuition. I want you to learn how to trust yourself. I want you to learn how to slow down and really enjoy your life. Enjoy where you are right now. Trust that what is meant for you will find you. All right, you guys, thank you so much for being here. I'll see you in the next episode. Be sure to follow Helena on social media, and you can find me at Tranquility by HeHe and the.birth.lounge. Until next time, head to your app store and download the Birth Lounge app for evidence-based childbirth education and data-driven postpartum support delivered straight to your phone. Bye. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I love hanging out with you, and it is an honor to be your go to gal when it comes to preparing for your baby. If you've enjoyed today's episode, please leave a 5-star review and tell others why they should be listening to the Birth Lounge podcast too. You deserve to have a birth that you love with a provider that values your autonomy and respects informed consent without all the trauma that you so commonly hear about on social media. New episodes air every Wednesday and Friday. Hit that follow button so you never miss an episode. I'm HeHe, and this is the Birth Lounge Podcast.